Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of Check Out My Custom Lego Bionicle Toa of Fire Tahu. And let's get into this one. I am so excited. I'm actually a very big fan of Bionicle. I completely forgot Bionicle existed up until about last year. As a kid, I remember going into the store. They had a whole stack of all these new canisters of Lego Bionicles. And it really blew my mind because it was just so different from anything Lego had produced before. Typically, you buy a box of Legos, right? It comes in a box or maybe even like a bucket or something. But this was so different. This was a gray canister. Very different because Legos are very bright. They're all about the colorful funness of being a child with creativity and just customizing and vibrancy. These canisters that were on the shelf were gray. They were very subdued colorings on the designs and everything. The CGI characters on the canisters were in their element, different colors and everything, just looking really badass. This was just so different. I just never saw Lego do anything like this, and it really grabbed my attention, especially the fact that they were in canisters. Not just Lego, but just toys in general are usually in boxes, so just seeing it in something different like that, there was a lot of marketing that went into Bionicle, and it worked. It was just so fun. It was just such a fun time to see all the crazy different events and stuff going on, and the way they had it on the shelves and posters. It was a cool time. Very cool time to be a kid. 2001. What a time. Over the years, I just somehow completely forgot Bionicle existed. Completely. 100%. It was just like, up until last year, I did not know Bionicle existed. It's just so crazy how attached this was to my life as a child, and then just once I was out of it, it was just gone. But as I got back into things and I started looking over all the old designs and stuff like that, I kind of figured out what happened. Basically, I like this first wave. These original Toas look so cool. I think they pretty much got it perfect on the first batch. They crushed it. As things went on, I do think there was a lot of cool stuff after, but they started going in a direction that I wasn't feeling. For example, on this guy, he has a lot of variation in colors. That only lasted for a couple of waves, and then it just seemed like things kind of simplified, and instead of things being black, gray, red, orange, it just was red. That's as far as I can tell. And I think that's kind of unfortunate that it seems like there was just, I don't know, something a little lost there, and that's why I kind of fell off. It just wasn't as impressive. The designs were much thinner as well. Like, this has not a bulk, but it feels like it's three-dimensional. It feels like a very lively toy to have on the shelf. Whereas, for example, Toa Metru, those designs, very flat. That was where I think I dropped off. I think I got one of those guys. I think I got the green one, and that was pretty much it. I called it a day on my Bionicle purchases because I think these first designs just freaking crushed it, and then moving forward, they had some cool stuff, and then it kind of just petered out for me. Glad to be back and enjoying this stuff once again because I decided, you know what, let's paint one up. And it was an interesting experience for a few reasons. So first of all, it's a Lego. They're not meant to be painted. They're just kind of meant to be built. So right off the bat, there's going to be some differences in how to approach this because they're not intended to be painted. Whatever was going to happen, and I was just going to live with it. For the ball joints, for example, I knew that was going to be a big issue. Obviously, you're going to see the ball joints throughout this design. So I just tried to use blue sticky tack to stick the part onto a skewer in a way that maybe you wouldn't notice when I took it off that it wasn't painted. And it more or less worked. I think that you can't really tell that I didn't paint that area, but sometimes when I move the arm or something, you could see a little bit of paint missing just because that's where the blue sticky tack was holding on to the part for me to paint. So things like that. Again, this was not intended to be painted, so it's not their fault. I tried my best to figure out something, and that's what I went with. The plastic itself was fine. I just kind of wish that I had cleaned the parts a bit. It just seemed like some of the parts I would try to paint, there was just some oil or residue or just something that was just getting in the way. I did have to clean up a few of the parts and to be able to paint them over again just because, I don't know, there was just something going on. And again, I feel like it's because these were not meant to be painted. This plastic and the way it's made isn't adhesive in a way to grab the paint. So that was something to consider. But I mean, it's not a big deal. At the end of the day, looks great. I was able to fix any issues there and the paint's not really going anywhere. But in terms of the color scheme, I gotta say, I'm really happy with it. 99%. The red's a little dark we'll get into that. First things first, I went ahead and painted the black parts as well as the gray parts, so like the face and the gears and stuff. I just painted those up in a black primer, as I usually do. Anytime I do a metallic part, black primer. Start with that, just get it out of the way. We need these parts to be black, so I just primer them in black. Now, just to give it a little bit more pop, black primer is flat, so we want to give it a gloss coat to make it vibrant and shiny, like metal. Now we've got a shiny black coat, and then finally, for the black parts, I kept it simple. I went over it with metallic black, and I gotta say, not too impressive. It looks pretty much exactly like how they come straight out of the box, or out of the canister. All these plastic bits are very glossy, shiny plastic, as you would normally get out of like Legos and toys and stuff. So after I put on this metallic black, we pretty much went to square one, just glossy black. That's what it looks like. You can kind of see, that if you get close up, it's got a sort of a metal flake to it. For the most part, it's just back to being black. And whatever, that's fine. It looks fine. You don't notice it. It's not a big deal. But after I painted the metallic black, I was just like, okay, well, I guess this is what it looks like. Like, I don't know, it just felt like a lot of time just went to really nothing. I should have probably maybe added a little bit of silver just to spice things up, but whatever. I mean, the little metallic ball on the chest, I think that comes across as metallic, but everything else just, it looks like gloss black. Whatever, it looks good, it's fine, but that was that. And then for like the gears and then the skull, head, whatever you want to call that part, that came out so good. I cannot believe how freaking good that color came out. That was just gunmetal from Alcalad mixed with Mr. Color Silver. I have never mixed Alcalad with any of the other types of colors, Mr. Color and Gaia Notes before. This was the first time trying it out, and I cannot believe the results. Very nice. So happy with it. Gonna have to do it again for sure. I'm typically not the biggest fan of Alcalad just because their paints are a bit thin. I feel like you have to be really careful with Alcalad because if you're spraying Alcalad paint as the first coat and then you're trying to mess with it, maybe adding panel liner or masking or something like that, you could run into some damages and stuff along the way. So typically I try to stay away from Alcalad, but in this case, because I mixed in that Mr. Color to help kind of buff it up, give it a little bit more strength to it, make it a little less thin, I think that really helped. I'm not worried about this at all, and it just looks really good. The combination of gunmetal with the silver mixed really well together. I almost wish I kind of kept an eye on the ratios just because this particular color that I've got here, where it's like a titanium color, not quite silver, not quite gunmetal, it just looks so good. This is probably the best inner frame color I've ever created. I love looking at the inner frames of my other pieces, but damn, this one came out just pretty much. It almost makes me want to take off the mask and just look at this guy's face. The light gray bare plastic of the face, it obviously is very simplistic and all that, but man, after I painted this up, it just really makes me want to look at it and just take the mask off. It's so crazy. I love looking at this thing from behind now just because of all the gears and the back of the head showing through. It gives me something to look at now. Before, it just looked like cheap plastic and it looks like the part of the toy that I don't normally want to look at, all the guts and all that. I typically just want to see the armor and everything just because it looks cooler that way. But now that I painted up, man, like this, it looks cool to be able to see those inner workings. It doesn't feel like the toy parts to get the thing going. It looks like actual components keeping this guy alive. Very cool. I'm gushing. I can't stop gushing. Looks great. Now the orange came out pretty damn near perfect, I gotta say. Even though you can see some of the unpainted spots on the ball joints just due to how I had to go about holding the parts up to be able to paint them, because the color matching is so on point, I did a really great job. I have to pat myself on the back, sorry, but I got this orange that I made to match the plastic orange damn near perfect that you can't even tell the difference, while still being able to add in some highlights to make it seem a bit more alive. So came out pretty great. I think I pretty much just primed it in white. Typically if I'm doing orange or yellow or reds, depending on what I'm going for, I do a white primer. So in this case, I primed it in white, went over it again with orange, just a straight orange, and then I wanted to highlight things with just, I think I used yellow orange, and just kind of went over some spots just to help separate some stuff. Kind of worked. I mean, once things dry, everything kind of settles into its own thing. Yeah, well, overall looks good. I mean, it looks better than just being plain orange. If you're looking at it up close or at certain angles, you can see that there is some spots that stand out a bit more from the yellow that I added in. The red, I'm of two minds on the red. So on the one hand, what I was going for was I wanted the orange to be a vibrant fire orange. This is the Tahu Fire. He's got a big old flame sword. We know what this guy's about. I wanted to make sure that it was emphasized that it was like bright and flamey and vibrant. The red I wanted to do a little different. So these guys are supposed to be robots. So I wanted the red to come across as more of like a scorched red, like a burnt, hot metal type of red. But like not vibrant hot, like it was hot and now it's kind of cooling down, you know, like it's just burnt. I went over that with a gray primer for the red parts. Then I used a dark red for the first layer, and then I went over to highlight everything with a less dark red, basically. I think it was Super Italian red. I could be wrong, but I think that was the color I used. It might have been something else. The thing is, that red isn't a vibrant red. It's just a very deep red. It didn't make things brighter. It just made things more red, if that makes any more sense. It still has that dark vibe to it, but you can tell that it's red. I don't know if that makes any sense, but basically, it's not as bright as I had quite as hoped. To be fair, that was partly my fault. I think what happened with the red was I thinned it a little too much. In terms of the texture, it looks great, but when things dried and everything settled, that underlayer kind of popped up a bit just because, again, the red was a bit thinner, so it was able to push through it. I think that's what happened. I will say it just kind of depends. Certain angles, it looks really dark. Certain angles, it looks really nice. Like I'm looking at it right now in my more fluorescent lightings from my room, and it looks great. I have to say, this looks pretty good. Hard to complain, could have been better, but at the same time, still looks pretty great. The sword, it's okay. Nothing crazy. I mean, I was trying something out, so I painted the sword in the standard red and everything like I did everything else. The difference was, instead of going over the sword with like white or silver to brighten it, I decided to leave it in that red just to see how the shading would affect the highlights that I was trying to do with the fluorescent colors to give it a lively flame effect. And unfortunately, I don't think it worked quite as I'd hoped. I was hoping that it would add more of depth to it and give it a few more layers of shading versus the highlighting, and unfortunately it just kind of sucked in the color instead. It just sucked in the light, so it just kind of has a plainish kind of vibe. It doesn't really look like it's glowing. It just kind of looks like it's a plain orange. Not a big deal, but that's how you learn. I wanted to test something out and figure something out, and I did, and there you go. It's still not bad. I think it looks okay. I decided not to mask the sword at all. I said screw it, let's just leave it, and then that way the oversprayed parts that would get kind of touched up by the sword, that would kind of show off that it's glowing from the hilt. You can see there's a little bit of gradient going on that way, so I feel like that helps balance it out. I don't know, but at the end of the day, it's not terrible by any means. It still looks very cool, and I'm very happy with it. So lastly, I'm just going to quickly go over the details. I did a ton of masking for those pipes. There are some pistons and gears and stuff that I wanted to bring out just because I figured, why not? There's some really cool detail here that you don't normally get to experience on a Lego type design, so I figured I wanted to really make it stand out because that's what we're here for. Masked everything off, gave it a nice clean little paint job, and I gotta say, those pistons and that gear on the crotch look pretty great. I'm very happy with them. Just went over standard gold and silver, nothing crazy. And then for that little gear thing, I decided to again do the standard gunmetal thing, silver with gunmetal mixed in, and then just throw that on. I wanted to differentiate it from the top stuff just because, yeah, overall, I gotta say, can't complain. But anyways, guys, thanks for watching. I'm really happy with how this came out. I'm excited to show it off. I've gotten a lot of good feedback, and I can't wait to do more. I think I'm gonna have to pick up a few more in the future. Who knows when? I want to make my own custom. I don't want to just buy another stock one. This was a good tryout. I want to make my own custom mock of a Bionicle and see what I can do from there. But anyways, guys, thanks for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed. This was a really cool experience. I hope there's a lot of Bionicle fans out there just like me, and let's see more of these in the future. So anyways, guys, take it easy and peace.